Hello, my friends. How the heck is it going? I think it's been about 2 weeks since we've done this. I think this is my first official solo Summer of Siege Season 2 stream. How alliterative can we get? Wanderers Haven, welcome in. Ignis Latra, welcome in. Wizened Sage, welcome in. Good to see you. Fosco, hello, hello. Paladin Steve, welcome in. Savage Splendor, Rick Hershey, DM Chris, Good King, Enialb, welcome in, my friends. New Type, welcome in. How's it going? How's your summer? How's your week? How was your weekend? Life is good. I'm glad to hear that. Somebody passed me a shot. Here you go. We'll share. Cheers. Don't care, just make it a double. Sounds like you had a day. How is everything? I feel like things have been absolute chaos in the dens. We've got a lot of plates spinning right now and some very exciting stuff coming up. And some of it I can talk a little bit about and some of it I can't. Lemon shots doubled up. There you go. Man, a lemon shot sounds awesome. You know what's dangerous are green tea shots. I don't know if y'all have tried those. Still at work. Ugh. Life could be better, yet it could be worse. You know, I'm happy to hear that. That's pretty good. Also, let me know if the music is too loud here. I'm going to turn it down just a touch. Hello, Ty. Hello, my friend. Speaking of Dungeon Master Ty and Adventure Slaying Productions, how many of you have done your summer homework of listening to the second episode of Aired Out? We're going to record episode 3 next week, which I have to... This is actually going to be a helpful stream for me because I've got to dive into the codex again and take some notes. We are taking suggestions if there's anything you guys want us to talk about. As always. Fosco, speaking of Summer of Siege, how are you liking Wiley's game? Wiley Hobbit, for anyone who doesn't know, is running Blood and Briar, which has been the craziest, most humbling, coolest thing ever to be able to like watch someone else like run that adventure. I've been watching and I've been taking notes on Blood and Briar, and it's actually been very, very helpful because it's almost like watching it get play tested. So I'm going into the file and I'm adding some things. Listen up, you primitive screwheads. Hashtag brand new sentences. Wiley has a cool style. Yes, I hope. So I get an email every time you update that scenario. Which scenario? Oh my god, Blood and Briar. Holy shit. That's embarrassing. I'll remove you from it. I'm sorry. So you're seeing my maddened rambling in there. I'm so sorry. Loving it, kind of Cthulhu CNC vibe. I'm so glad. I'm really glad that you're liking it. I love your character. And I love Squeaks, your animal companion Squeaks. That is my favorite character in that actual play. Mission objective is to protect Squeaks. I did write a little read aloud text thing. That's real though. I think so. I don't know. I think the Darkenfold is a woman. Here's the thing. The Darkenfold is like, okay, I have this theory. Maybe we'll talk about the Darkenfold in our next episode of Aired Out. But I have this theory that the Darkenfold is a woman. So, Scornful, well, yeah. The thing is, yes, exactly, and with very good reason. We are gonna... Yes. I miss Georgie. I know, me too. So do I. I miss all those girls. I got an email from Carly, who played... oh, fuck, what was her name? Not Orb. Orb was her Blood and Briar character. Shit. The stuff you forget. She was a mentalist. You guys would remember Carly. She was the one with the shaved head. But I got an email from Carly today that she booked like 2 shorts that are going to be filming pretty soon. So that's very, very exciting for Carly. It seems like Rachel is absolutely killing it too. And same with Rebecca, and love those ladies. First we have to do the Winter Dark. Yes. I won't get too much into it because we might talk about it, but the cool thing about the Darkenfold and the Winter Dark, the Darkenfold used to be the Ethvold Forest, which was home to the Etherim tribe, which was one of the greatest tribes of men in all of Aird's history. And the Darkenfold is basically it's what's left of the Ethvold Forest. And Unklar's armies have tried and failed to siege the Darkenfold, to wipe it off the map, to destroy it. And nothing can. So the Darkenfold did play a small part in the Winter Dark, because a lot of people actually took shelter there because it was basically impregnable. It tolerated no intrusion from Unklar's armies. So it was very, very cool stuff. I can't think about no godforsaken trees. I gotta write about latrines and stone lintels and such. Yeah, we gotta let you get back to your latrines. That's where the real adventure is. Haunted forests. No. They got the real shit in Castle Zagig. Nick showed me the map that you sent him of stuff that's done versus not done, and it looks like you're crushing it. It looks like progress is really coming along. Hey, is that Dougie? Welcome in, Dougie. How's it going? So good to see you, my friend. You have any idea what sort of amazing things you can find in the bottom of cesspits? There's someone I want to ask. There's a guy. You know how like small towns have like characters? One of the characters in our town is this guy that I see down on a nearby river all the time. And he is down there like metal fishing, and he's got like his fishing rod, and like it's got a magnet on the end, and he's fishing for metal objects in the river. And always like right by him he's got a cart filled with all of his like metal trade goods, and you can buy and sell, you can like trade with him for like little metal trinkets that he finds at the bottom of rivers, and it's awesome. Magnet fishers are usually very chill. I imagine it would have to be a very chill demographic. I would be a lot more chill if I was a magnet fisher by trade, I think. Pardon me for taking sips of drink every other second here. I'm trying to fend off the very last little edges of a sore throat. I was sick last week. That's so metal. I can still think of stuff that's more metal. Cut that. Hey, KevCon, how's it going, my friend? Welcome in. You see vids of them dredging up bikes and antique motorcycles and shopping carts and things. That'd be nuts. I would love to see him pull an automobile out of the river someday. Things are good. Got some big life changes coming soon. Are you at liberty to possibly share? I hope they're all good things. I'm doing really well. Definitely staying busy. And I've been going back in and doing some more writing in Blood and Briar, which embarrassingly, it turns out Jeremy has been notified of all of my like terrible drafts that have been dropping in there. Can we circle back to that? That's so fucked up. Dude, I'm so sorry. First thing I'm doing after this stream is removing you from that document. That's so embarrassing. Whatever. Whatever. At a certain point, it's like, well, it is what it is. You're doing great. Well, thanks. It's good to see you, friend. There's a ringmaker's workshop which houses the accursed demon ring, discarded in the forge's ashes, abandoned for reasons of its own imperfections. When donned, it calls forth the dread servant of the ring, who is under no compulsion to obey. Is that why? Is that the imperfection that it was tossed aside for? It like doesn't work. The Bluetooth connection to the dread servant is like doesn't work. It has no issue in calling, but the dread servant does not obey. You gotta press the power button again. You gotta like sync it up and make sure that they're both connected to the same device. Magical relics are tricky. I think I would like to have a magical item called Bluetooth. The Bluetooth that like connects to people's stuff. I think that'd be fun. We've been talking about like what kind of content we want to make in the coming years at Trollord, because we've got like Gygax stuff, and we've got, you know, like our Castle of the Crusades and, you know, some ideas, but we're kind of in this rare moment where we have a little bit of time to like actually brainstorm and think ahead on some things. So we're trying to think about like content that people want to see us produce. I would love some gag magical items that are based on real world modern items, because I think that'd be fun. Castle Keeper book part 2. What would you want in the second Castle Keeper book? All of like the expanded optional rules of everything. I would be interested in that. The one book that I like that I wasn't expecting to like, but I have the PDF of it and it's nice, is the Player's Archive. Player's Archive has all of our classes in it, all of the character classes, not the new ones, not the new ones in the Adventurer's Backpack, but the old ones from the Adventurer's Backpack. There is also the Throne of Inspiration, which grants to those who sit fabulous ideas that no mortal has ever considered. Unfortunately, in all the ages, most ideas have been thought up, so most are not terribly practical. It also conjures the Eidolon of Doubt, a manifestation of one's own securities. That's the shit I like in a game. Make me confront the darker version of myself. That's excellent. Is this in Castle Zagig? Are these all Castle Zagig things? Because that feels very Zagig. From what I know of Zagig, which isn't very much. I got a promotion at work, so I'm a certified CDL instructor training new drivers. Moved into a nicer downtown apartment last month. And I'm getting weight loss surgery next week. Dude, congratulations. That's huge. All of that is fucking awesome. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. New place. New promotion? Very, very, very cool. My question is, are you coming to GaryCon in March? Say yes. Please say yes. Who's going to Gen Con? We're all going to be going to Gen Con at the end of August as well. Oh, gotcha. So this is what we can look forward to. Are these the Act 1 books or the Act 2 books? Second Castle Keeper book would have mechanics on designing magic items, spells, traps, monsters, etc. It'll also have a backpack option. Have backpack options for pre-made treasure based on level or encounters. I see. So pulling a little bit from the existing Castle Keeper's guide, pulling a little bit from the Adventurer's backpack. I'm into it. I like the idea of consolidating that information. Because there's the part of like the Castle Keeper Game Master job that is running the game, and then there's the part of the Castle Keeper job that is like creating new stuff for the game. And those are kind of different. 2 books that are like specialized to either of those purposes would be nice. You've also got a room with a big bell, which is very angry. That's relatable. Sometimes I feel like I'm a big bell that's angry in a room, in a dungeon. Make them send you to Philly in January. I wish they would. I've got a friend in Philly that I could stay with. Costs no money. We've got to bully them. The answer is to email Steve at steve@trolllore.com and pester him about sending us all to more cons. Don't tell him I sent you. I really want to do a trio of books, one on the denizens of law, another on chaos, and a third specifically about CKing high-level campaigns. That would be cool. When you say denizens, do you mean like entities, monsters? Like what I'm picturing is like Infernum and Exaltum. But I would love a book on running high-level games, because that can be very hard to do. And especially like with any new system, I feel like there's a learning curve to figuring out how much challenge to throw at your players, but and most of us, I think, just kind of figure that out by playing and figuring out what the balance is and feels like. I don't know, maybe some people can like read all the information and conceptualize it right away and know immediately how to apply it, but I feel like I will read a monster stat block and be like, this might be appropriate. Let's find out. And then they fight it, and then more often than not, it's too easy. So yeah, any kind of like resource book like that would be cool. I'd like to see more monster manual type of books too, not necessarily focused on a particular type of monster like dragons. Yeah, I honestly, if I were gonna write anything, it would be a monster manual book. I love, love, love designing monsters. It's so much fun. That was my favorite part about writing Blood and Briar. I didn't use any monsters from like Monsters and Treasures or anything like that. Maybe I should have. Because again, balance. Ugh, I guessed. But Wiley's party is doing all right, so it doesn't seem like it's too easy. Have you ever castle kept a high-level game? I am curious if it would work for CNC. I ran a high-level Pathfinder game and just about killed the love of the game for everyone involved. I hear that Pathfinder is kind of crunchy. But I have always wanted to try it. One game that I'm loving right now, not to like show up here and promote a different game than the one we published, but to do that a little bit. Let me just put you on big robots really quick. You're welcome. If you like big mechs and power gaming and combat turns that take like 15 minutes, Lancer is awesome. I think Lancer is, along with Castle and Crusades, one of the more underrated tabletop games on the market right now. We just played last night, and it's so good. There's a lot of separation between like combat and roleplay or downtime. It generally follows like the same structure where you have one session that is like downtime, roleplay, story, and then you have 3 sessions where one session is stage 1 of a mission, and your second session is stage 2 of a mission, and it's like a different objective, and then the third mission is like the finale of like you finishing the job. And it's really good. I kind of want to take some of the Lancer like campaign design format and use it for some of my CNC writing. Law and chaos battle for the material as good and evil do. Law and chaos battle for the material as good and evil do the immaterial, i.e. the soul. Lords of law, champions of chaos, the vast hordes of psionically endowed protoplasmic proteans, crystalline entities, thousand-eyed warriors from the void between stars, batrachian plane hoppers who come and infest, mechanistic supermen who operate via crystal logic, that sort of thing. I'm on board. Say more, say less, say it all. That sounds awesome. That's a good point. I like that, like law and chaos being a little bit more material and grounded, and about how like things operate in the planes versus like vaguely what things are, good or bad or evil or whatever. Very crunchy, too much to track and actually enjoy. That's fair. What about Battletech? I've not tried or heard of Battletech. Is that another RPG? Basically 60s and 70s infused psychedelic nonsense and esoterica. Battles with a billion combatants where universes are winked out of existence via the absent thoughts of forgotten gods drifting half-dead in cosmic space, and monsters are, all caps, weird. Well put. I like space stuff. I think I can say this. If Nick or Johnny or Chris or Mackenzie are here, those are the members of my home game. In Lancer, I'm playing a character who, it's all like in space and it's the future and it's like sci-fi. And you're all piloting like these battle mechs. My character is someone who doesn't remember why, but was on some sort of like mission or something with like a crew of people and fell into a black hole. And inside the black hole, while being spaghettified, found like some sort of alien that was also in there, and they fused together and by their powers combined escaped the black hole. But now she's like a half not human thing, so it's been a lot of fun to play that character. Hey, fans of NJ, how's it going, my friend? Thank you for the sub. Happy summer of Siege, buddy. How's it going? Celebrating my 42-month mod anniversary. Woo! Ban someone just for fun. Just to exercise your fun. Just to exercise your power. Ban someone at random. Liberal use of things like astral projection, psionics. I would love, like, honestly, a mini campaign book and like CNC expansion of specifically just that. Just a book that is like just that genre, and it has everything you need to play and has like the rules of the game and like all that sort of stuff. That'd be awesome. Battletech is a strategy game that the RPG and video game franchise Mech Warrior is based on. Ooh. Very cool. I gotta look up Mech Warrior. Every time I do one of these streams, I leave with homework. Space is great. I want to live in the reality where I'm an astronaut. Here's the thing, Dougie, you stand alone. You stand alone in that. You stand over there with that dream by yourself. Miss me. Space is so scary. A black hole is the single, I think, most like horrifying real life thing that I can actually imagine. It's so scary. The thought of being in space is so like claustrophobic. It like wigs me out. Same thing with being like deep underwater in the ocean or something like that. The ocean and the space, the big up and the big down can stay in their areas. I'm good here. Here's the thing, Dougie, if you were to be an astronaut, I want to pose this question to the group actually. Would you want to go to one of the planets in our solar system, or would you want to go into like deep space and find another planet that's like unknown to us? If you had to pick one. I thought Great Stories was a Thursday stream. No, buddy, it's always been Wednesday. Welcome back. Good to see you, Pat. Gen X grew up with Black Hole, the movie. Talk about traumatizing. I've never heard of that. I'm probably not going to watch it. What happens? Spoil it for me. Black Hole, the movie? Is it a movie about just a black hole? You mean to tell me you don't see the Artemis mission going on and getting giddy? It was so inspiring, so fascinating, extremely cool. Would never want that for myself. Good for them. I was so scared watching that whole thing. I was like, oh my god, it's gonna explode. Their space stuff is gonna malfunction. They're all gonna get kersploded. They're gonna fly out into space. And just keep going and going and going and going forever. Ugh. What are you, under 30? Not for long, Pat. I'm gonna turn 30 in July. Pretty soon. Black Hole is a Disney film. I believe it was a Disney. God damn, alright. Shit. It had floating trash can robots. Okay, now we're back more. That's a little bit more my speed. I don't think Grace knows 99.9% of pop culture, movies, and shows. I haven't seen any media. I turned 30 in September, and it was like something flipped a huge lever and made everything in my body break. I have heard that from all of my friends over 30, that within a few days of their 30th, their body just starts breaking down. So I'm looking forward to that. I feel like I've already had enough going on with my body to where there's not really much more it could throw at me. Just knock on wood real quick. Happy early Prone Day Cancers Unite. Woo! Gonna do the cancer thing and cry about it. Does she know they made a really cool movie series, Lord of the Rings? What is that? Lord of the Rings? I'm gonna Google that. I've never heard of that. Oh my god, it's got Christopher Lee from the Star Wars prequels, my favorite. I'll have to check it out. I've After 30 years, dice are not even properly broken in. Yeah, you gotta get the edges. You gotta get the edges, like, worn down. That's how you know. That's how you know they're ready to use. It's a spin-off of the Hobbit cartoon. Oh, perfect. The Rankin Bass one. We love a little side quest spin-off series. At 40, you wake up with pain in muscles you don't remember using. At 50, every sneeze is an adventure. Throughout your back, pass out from sneezing too hard, poop your pants. Good luck. Sounds perfect. I've had enough going on with my back. Surely there's nothing more that could, like, happen to my back. I've had this, like, lingering thing. I do stretches to try to stay limber. It doesn't help. So I'm just gonna probably continue to deteriorate, I guess. You tempted fate by suggesting it couldn't get worse. Here's the thing, it couldn't get better. There's no way in hell that like any of my weird body things could just like fix themselves. There's no way. That would be crazy. No way that's gonna happen. I'm really enjoying Aired Out. Just finished episode 2. David, thank you so much. And thanks for tuning in from YouTube. How's it going? I'm so glad that you listened. I'm glad that you liked it. Thanks for saying that. Episode 2 was a blast. So when we were recording it, that day was a big off day for me. I just felt like I was brain dead and not speaking like a person. And I feel like Ty is such a great like conversation partner, and he brings so much to a conversation. And not only that, but just like his skills at like production and being able to like cut together a podcast and make it sound really fluid and really good. He just made that episode awesome. I went back and listened to it as well. I was afraid of how it was going to turn out because I felt like I was just off my game that day when we recorded, but I was really happy with how it turned out too. So hey, if you haven't checked out Aired Out, you should definitely give it a listen. That's all I'll say about it. There is an endless capacity to get worse and better. You ever consider going to a chiropractor? Mine is a miracle worker that makes 60 hours in a truck feel like nothing. Maybe I should try that. I have not tried a chiropractor. I'm awkward about stuff like that. Yeah. But maybe I just should. That's probably a good idea. It could be worse is always an unbeatable argument. Yeah, that's true. It could be worse. I've known Ty for 4 or 5 years now. He is good people. Glad I got to finally interview him about New Varden. Dude, where can we find that? The entire great together. Thank you, Fosco. I really appreciate it. Sometimes you just meet people and it's like, man, this person rocks. That's how I felt about that whole crew that was in that Call of Cthulhu game, Kozlov's Mummy. That's available on the Guild Superior YouTube channel. I don't know if I've ever really been more proud of an actual play that I've been a part of. I'm very, very proud of that one. The cast was so cool. And I feel like all those guys are my friends now. And like that's been cool to like meet new friends. There is some rain going on right now. Jeez. Gee whiz. When is the next Aired Out? So new episodes will always be released on the first Friday of every month. We're going to record it next week. I think next Tuesday. That should be the link to the interview. Excellent. I'm going to pull that up and just have it. Grace totally forgets that some of us are already in our 60s and just laughing. Don't you worry. No one ever lets me forget. Woo! That thunder. Man, if I lose connection, you guys know why. Seeing as how it's been a while, I wanted to just like hang out and chat for a little while. We might do some reading tonight, but I just kind of wanted to like catch up with y'all first. But we've been reading The Castle of Spires, which is pretty cool, and I think we're about to get into the actual like nitty-gritty of it. Thunder, I thought that was your stomach ache. Last week, oh my god, we got slammed with some sort of like, I think, stomach bug or something. It's been a while since I've been that sick. There was 1 week in like, I think February or March, where I was really, really, really laid out and really badly sick. And then last week it was like, I don't get sick like that often, where I'm just like fully wiped out, but man, I couldn't even. I have a very cozy job. I can do my job literally from bed, and I could not be upright. That was crazy. Woo! Do you guys hear that? It's really loud. Phylactery, dice bags. What would you guys put in your like summoning circle? Have you heard that question yet? Where like if someone were to like summon you with like a pentagram. God, I almost said pentagon. If someone were to summon you with a pentagram, like what 5 items would be in your pentagram to summon you? Pat draws. Why did you bring up a beer? Now I want a beer. Here's the thing. I'm not a big drinker. But I have discovered Corona Sunbrew. It's like what I want a cider to be. It has like orange juice in it, and it's a Corona. Oh my god, a Corona Sunbrew with lime. It's so good. Top 10. Top 10. I've been summoned by the Pentagon before. Worst 5 years of my life. Rip. Why'd I bring a beer? Have you met me? Well, we've been chatting for a while. The rain has rolled in. It's pretty cozy. What do you think about diving into The Castle of Spires, Chapter 8? Coffee, the devil's lettuce. I prefer the phrase Baphomet's broccoli. Vodka, gunpowder, and dice. A very well-adjusted 5 items. Any way I answer that question feels like some sort of insane self-report, and I don't know why. I guess it kind of is. It is a little bit of a self-report. I feel like with me, it would be for sure a coffee. Some kind of like caramel, like salted caramel latte. A cute animal of some sort. Preferably my dog. A soft like t-shirt. I love a good t-shirt. A little bundle of strawberries, or like a strawberry flavored item, and a bowl of pho would probably be how you would summon me. It's mostly food. It's mostly food and a fun bev. I think it'd be interesting to have someone else list those items for you. See how people view you. Oh my god, yeah. That is like the real, that's the real like judge of self, for sure. Well, if you guys are cool with it, I think maybe we'll like go ahead and jump back into a little bit of the Castle of Spires. The last we left off, our protagonist, Meltaug of Lothian, had gone to the swamp seeking the fair lady of Gilgum, who is fabled to be able to like lead you to your heart's desire. And he seeks the Castle of Spires, and so he has seen in a vision the location. He knows now that the Castle of Spires stands in a place called the Twilight Wood, and that it's guarded by elves. So that's where we left off. Jeez, it is coming down. Do you hear that? Man, it's crazy. Maybe like a beetle, a frog, some other little critter, an ice cold glass of water, and some painkillers. A pinch of etc. and a scoop of et al. That's a very well-balanced, well-rounded 5 items. Have Grace read at 2 times speed. No, I'm fixing your attention span in the internet age. Good old Rain. Hi, Plain Grace. Hello, hello. Welcome in. Thanks for tuning in from YouTube. Please send that rain here. I'm doing it. I'm mentally pushing it your way. I'm using the force. I'm tapping in the mitochondrias of the force. Yeah, I think let's settle in. We're gonna do a little bit of reading. And maybe we'll read this chapter, maybe we'll read 2 chapters, but we'll see where the story takes us. I think we're about to approach the Blacktooth Ridge, which is very exciting, because if we're approaching the Blacktooth Ridge, that means that we're about to learn a little bit about the very first troll, Ineng, who eventually settled in the Blacktooth Ridge. So I'm eager to dive in. Settle in, get yourself a bev, settle into whatever kind of task you want to do. And we're going to listen to this. Let me check our music here and make sure this is what we want to listen to. It's got loud all of a sudden. Kind of think it should be more like... Yeah, this is kind of better. Okay. Has there been a slime joke yet? That's one of my things. It's slime mold. You absolutely need a slime mold if you're going to summon me. If you have any hope of actually reaching me. You need 2 slime molds and they need to be in love. I'd say a golf ball, airplane, steering wheel, gold nugget, and some nachos. Why gold nugget? I respect the hustle. You say, if you're going to summon me, I'm going to need some cold hard cash. Learn a little bit about Aihrde dentistry. Why are all their teeth black? Only on the ridge. And it's because of evil. You can't handle the tooth. Okay. Yeah, we're going to dive back in. I'm going to sip the rest of this water. Trollzaw. She called me the dire prince, Venarioth. Venarioth is Meltaug's cousin, by the way. Meltaug looked at his lieutenant. I do not think I like that name. Well, my lord, be that as it may, we have 37 knights gathered here. With you and me, that brings our number to 39. We've gathered a further 82 mercenaries, adventurers, half-breeds, and rangers. It seems the Blacktooth Ridge is home to many displaced by the Horn God. But the season is late, and his winter is coming to augment this wretched dark we already live under. The snow whipped around them, picked up by the wind that always seemed to roll in from the eastern plains, picking up wild energy from the heat of the gray pools, the Gaussum land. The trees here were twisted oaks, small runted things, though very old. The brief summer respite had passed with the coming of autumn, and the leaves were now gone. Their short growing season cut even shorter by a season that promised to be even more harsh than normal. Before them, arms stretching out and over the hillock, stood the ineng tree, an ancient thing that had stood upon the ridge centuries before even the winter dark. It was huge, its trunk 15-odd feet in diameter, but not so tall, only 40 feet or so. Perhaps once its branches stretched further, but now it stood dead to the world, a short, squat thing reminiscent of the days of old. She said something else, old friend. Still looking at the tree, Meltaug reached out and touched it. She said, "You have come into contact with the secret of sentient creatures." I'm not sure what she meant by this. If it were any but a witch, I would say the answer was simple, and you are wiser for your adventures and the many creatures you have met over the years and slain. Venarioth looked to his armor, set aside in an orderly array. Uncomfortable with his master's talk, he began to put it on, slowly, methodically. As if on cue, the soldiery began to follow suit, slowly and without word. But she is a witch, and there must be greater meaning. He squatted, looking closer at the tree, his great sword Noxmoros dragging the ground. It groaned in its scabbard. He noted a vertical split in the tree, barely discernible, as if the tree had some old wound now closed in folds of bark. At the foot of the tree, where the split entered the ground, water bubbled up. It was this water that Venarioth and many other of the elves had learned was possessed of healing qualities. There were flowers, too, small violet flowers that grew here, mostly only in the late spring and early summer, when the grip of the horned ones slackened a little. Then they pushed up through the snow and spread their petals, soaking in the weak sunlight. These were supposed to heal as well, or so the legends said. Off book, I'm gonna call it right now. I'm gonna call this the split that Meltaug is seeing in the tree, in the Ineng tree. We all recognize the name Ineng if you've been here for a while. Ineng was the very first troll. I think that the split is the legs of the Ineng tree from when he used to be a troll and not a tree. And I think that the trickling water is just him constantly peeing. The Ineng pee! Anyway, Meltaug could not speak from experience, for his wounds were never healed. But by time, and only recently by the Fair Lady of Gilgum. It was his curse, he thought, though his great endurance balanced it out. But he reached down and took the water in his hands. Lifting it to his lips, he took a long draught. The cool water flowed down his throat, spreading a warmth through him he had not felt in years. But there were memories here, latent, buried in the water's fabric, and they eked into his wandering mind even as the water flooded his body. The memories were distant, remembrances of a world of long, long ago. In the beginning, there was warmth and happiness. The air was cool and the world wide and open to exploration, but later, there was lust for more, avarice and some evil deeds, until a lifetime of wrongs heaped upon the early expressions of warmth, and there was no cure but death. And Meltaug et Ode, Prince of Lothian, knew that he stood at the feet of a troll, one long returned to the earth. This creature did not die. It did not fall by the sword. It was one that became so weighted down by its life's deeds that it could no longer move, and its feet were rooted to the ground. Its weather-beaten body became encased in hard, rigid skin. And in the waters at its feet, revealed to Meltaug the story of the trolls from Aihrde, from whence they came, and what fate awaited them. And the troll's name was Ineng. Meltaug saw a score of great trees, huge and towering. Their roots spread into the earth like veins, and the world was sunny and green. The skies overhead a pale blue, infinite, dotted with distant clouds. The plains beyond the trees were covered in deep grasses and strange plants, and everything was warm. The trees swayed in the breeze, bending first this way and then that. They became aware of the warm, clean air through their leaves. The warm sun energized them, and their leaves spread to take in more, sating them on the life-giving light. Beneath them, their roots spread out like toes, pushing through the cool earth, thirsty for nutrients, absorbing water from the soil. And they marveled, for they could not see their lives behind them, but knew that the world was alive around them. So, the trees became sentient creatures, and they called themselves sentients, for the Allfather made them aware of the world around them before all other creatures. Ineng stood amidst that grove. An oak of unbelievable size, he towered over his companions and marveled at what he could see. The grove grew upon the slopes of a massive mountain chain that tumbled up into the sky in layer after layer of rocky ridges. On the other side, he could see a vast, sprawling plain of deep green grass. The grass went as far as he could see, and the earth there called to him, promising deeper soil and water unspoiled. Beyond the plains were slivers of something deep and blue, scores of them, which he afterward learned were lakes of life-giving water. And Meltaug knew in his mind's eye that these were the channel lakes of the distant east, for he had been to them once. Though now, they were frozen over, and the grass-filled plains were covered in thick snows of the winter dark. Ineng drifted from his grove, wandering down the slopes, his rooted feet cutting up the earth and finding new passage. But a voice beckoned him back. He stopped and cast his awareness toward the voice, for it was deep and made him long for something he could not name. And it was the voice of the Allfather, and it promised him knowledge, so Ineng stood and listened. He stood apart from the grove and absorbed all that the Allfather had to say. The twin sisters, that is, the sun and the moon, came and went countless times. The seasons rolled past. Ineng's leaves fell and returned time and time again while the Allfather spoke, and all those in the grove learned what he had to say. They learned the language of creation, which is the language of making things, and they learned of the world, the void, and all things besides. But at last, he finished speaking, and settled into the cool shade of the grove and enjoyed the company of the sentients for a long while. Ineng watched the Allfather sleep for time without meaning, but, growing curious, he wandered from the grove and down the slope, so that eventually he found himself upon the plain far from home. They called to him, the other sentients, noticing his absence at last, but he did not answer them, for in his mind's eye stood only the image of the water of those lakes, and he was thirsty. So he uprooted himself and began a slow, ponderous movement across the world to the Channel Lakes. There he sated himself with the cool waters for many years. He stood there alone and grew to think of the land as his own, and he watched over it. He turned the water in its course, and he drew so much from the soil that it withered and the grasses around him died. The water receded before him so that he had to follow it, and when he did so, he killed more of the land, and behind him stretched a black path of death. In time, other sentients came to him, and he swayed and moaned so that they knew he did not desire their company. And thinking no ill will, they wandered on, for the world was wide. But unbeknownst to him, the sentients were growing in number, and as the years passed, new breeds of the tree folk sprang up and spread, and they too bred. Eventually, more sentients came to the lakes, and he could not dissuade them, until at last they came close, and he sought to turn the soil barren beneath them. He sucked the nutrients out and made it like sand, keeping his neighbors from any food. Some of the trees died for his greed, and many of them fled. But some did remain, angered at his claim to the lake country. They entered the waters and drank deep there, and dried the land around him, and stretching their shadows beyond their own form, they blocked the sun and Eneng's light. But Eneng refused to leave, suffering their attack. He grew tired and shabby, and his bark peeled away, and he began to die. At last, overwhelmed with the need for sustenance, he fled the lakes and moved into the western lands that were barren and hot. He wandered for long years, and his roots became shallow, and his limbs shorter, and his leaves withered and only grew in small bunches. There, on the plains of Akrathos, he lived for long years, steeped in the rage of his own hate. He set about remaking himself, using the language to shape his roots into legs so that he could move faster, and his limbs into arms. He mimicked the shape of the Allfather, though that one was faceless, so Eneng, in these early days, had no eyes or mouth. So the first of the trolls came to be. And though he was not yet evil, he was becoming so, driven by his greed and hunger, but also by his envy and hate, for in the barren plains of Akrathos, he was always hungry and thirsty and could find no purchase. And he was weak, for he blamed others for his plight, never thinking that it was his greed that set him on this course. So, Eneng gathered himself one day and strode across the plains and returned to the Channel Lakes. There he saw a great forest of trees spread across the land that was once his land, and he became enraged. With little thought, he picked up a boulder and, hurling it, struck a tree in its bole. And the great timber groaned, cracked, and fell to earth. The other sentients marveled at this, for they had never seen one of them slain in such a way. They turned on Eneng, reaching out with their roots through the ground, sucking the moisture from the earth and bawling out the light. Eneng stood against them for many long years, but he could not overcome them, and he began to wither again, for their roots were deep, fashioned so by their knowledge of the language of creation. So Eneng fled again into the wilderness, and the forest on the Channel Lakes groaned in triumph. But some few of them broke free of the grove, curious and hungry, filled with greed like Eneng. and they followed him into the wilds. At first, he feared these sentients and fled, leaving them behind. But eventually, he realized they too were filled with a lust for the world similar to his. They gathered together for a while, but eventually, Ineng left them, longing to have his own country. But they learned from him, and they too shaped themselves as Ineng was shaped, and wandered through the world. In these days, when the trolls were still few, the Allfather peopled the world with hosts of animals. Creatures large and small, thoughts of his that often escaped from his dreamings as from his waking mind, and the world was soon occupied by more than sentients and gods. The sentients enjoyed these new creatures for the most part, but the trolls did not, and they cursed them and slew them when they could. In time of many years, the Allfather brought to the world the dragons, and then later the dwarves, and the world began to change beyond the scope of the trolls, and they slew all manner of creatures to keep their lands their own. In these days, they banded together on occasion to better keep creatures from molesting them, and they fed off their anger and hate, and greater signs of evil grew in them. My lord, Venarioth pulled Meltaug up gently by the arm. My lord, the men are getting ready to march. In which direction should I tell them? Meltaug looked at Venarioth for some time. Tell the men to move east, to the Hrusen River. There they are to make camp and wait for me. And where shall you be, my lord? I shall be here. There is more to this tree than meets the eye, my friend. And something tells me the story of its life shall aid us when we come to the Twilight Wood, our destination. Venarioth's eyes did not reveal the gloom he felt. The Twilight Wood. I have been there, my lord, a foul and evil place of shadows and darkness. Why there? For it is there that the Castle of Spires lies, and this tree shall give me the power to open its gates. Now go. Tonight warn the men of where we are going. Tell them that those who do not have the courage or the stamina for the journey to find some other endeavor, where their lives may be wasted without purpose. My lord. Venarioth turned and shouted for the elves and men to mount their horses. Meltaug watched his friend, an elf lord of no mean abilities, only for a moment. He turned then, and gathered more water from the feet of the Ineng tree, and drank its memories. So that was chapter 8. I think maybe we'll stop there before moving on to chapter 9. Maybe we'll do chapter 9 next week. But always cool to hear about like the origin of the trolls. That's one of my favorite like Airdisms. Ty made a great point that like it makes a lot of sense, like the trope of like trolls being weak to fire because they used to be trees and they're like wood and they're made of wood, and so like of course they're flammable. I think it's cool. Thank you all for hanging. It's been a while. I was just getting unlucky with my Wednesdays for the first two weeks of Summer of Siege. So I'm glad y'all came and like hung out for a little bit. I'm getting a little tired, so I think we'll go ahead and find somebody to raid. Let me see if I can find one of our friends who's live, maybe another sauce streamer. Thank you, Ignis. I appreciate you. Ooh, okay, we gotta do Old Times Tavern because they're actually playing Assault on Blacktooth Ridge. So you guys all just learned about Blacktooth Ridge. The thing about Blacktooth Ridge, as we heard, that is where the Ineng tree went from troll back to tree. Ineng settled there once he couldn't like move around anymore. Atop a ridge in the Blacktooth Ridge. And basically it's called that because his roots grew so deep and had such like evil energy that it changed the landscape of that place. Basically, he created the Blacktooth Ridge. It wasn't there before he settled there. And it was kind of carved out by his roots and the power of his evil. I just think that's kind of cool. And interesting that the water from the Aneng tree is like healing when he was such a evil guy. I'm still wrapping my head around trees pissing. Keep up, Dougie. Next chapter, the Aneng P. Okay, we're going to go over to Old Times Tavern. They are playing through the Undying War, which takes place after the Winter Dark when the Tower of Aufstrag has been taken over by Coburg the Undying in the absence of Unglar the Horned God after his defeat. And it's a great adventure. It's a great campaign. So let's go check in and cheer them on for Summer of Siege. I had a tree like that in my side yard, created a ridge in my patio. Sounds evil. Sounds evil to me. So yeah, if you guys have a second to hang out, let's make their night. Let's hang out. Let's watch. Let's chill with them for a little bit. If you have some time to like say something nice in chat, it makes people's day when a raid comes in and everyone like hangs out for a minute. So let's do that and show them some support for Summer of Siege, because that's the reason for the season, is basically like just celebrating all the awesome content creators that do stuff like, you know, actual plays and video content and help spread awareness of our games. We want to give back to them. So thank you all. Thanks for hanging out. Go in peace. Make the words do good. I will see you next week. Thank you so much again for hanging out. See you next time.